Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's January 1st, a new year, and I'm out here in the garden preparing for cold weather. And so let me give you a few hints if you don't already know. Okay, I've got a lot of vegetables here that they withstand cold weather. I mean, it's not going to kill them, but it will do a lot of damage to the leaves. It's going to get down to 23, I think, one night, and 25 another night. And when it gets that far below freezing, I mean, even say 30 degrees is enough to start damaging some leaves, and I can show that on some that's already had that. But what I'm out here doing is I'm putting up my hoops, and I'm putting some roll cover on. Now, one thing I want to note about putting roll cover on is you don't want it to have a lot of movement. A little bit of movement is fine, but you don't want it to have a whole lot of movement, because up here where I'm at, and if you're in a situation where cold weather's coming through and you have a lot of wind, which is, you know, we're going to have 10 to 20 miles an hour, what happens is when it pops, it tends to pull the landscape staples up. Now, if it gets real bad, we just put bricks on the edge of it, and that helps a lot, but we keep it as tight as we can. We even we'll use a little clip on the end, kind of keeps it from letting that end slide too far in and letting extra slack in there. But anyway, we're going to cover these and then we'll go over some other tips. Okay, I was talking about what the freeze done, and I had talked about it in earlier videos. Now, what we're doing before we cover this is just going to cause extra stress for the plant, having these limbs on here, or these leaves. So what we're doing is we're trimming off all these that got frostbit. They could have been trimmed off earlier, but there's no need to keep those on and end up with a problem. But that's what happens. This wouldn't have happened if I'd have went ahead and put roll protection on before that last freeze. Ideally, in the winter, these freeze-proof faucets are great. They're capable of not freezing up when it gets really cold, because the valve is actually below the ground. But if you leave your faucet like this and you have cold weather coming, this faucet's going to freeze up, and you're going to break on this. It won't start spewing water, but it's going to break. And the reason for this is that it has to bleed back down. It has an opening when it's closed, and it has to bleed back down this pipe into the ground, so this part is empty. If this is hooked up, it won't bleed back down. So if you have extremely cold weather coming, now 28 degrees normally won't be enough to expand this far enough to break it, but being we're looking at maybe 25, 24 something, it is going to be enough. So all you need to do is take it loose. Now on your hoses, now this hose is stretched out and it runs downhill to a tree that I have over there. Most of the water is going to drain out. Now what I like to do, and in the garden I'll actually stretch some hoses out without any loops or anything in them, so they'll completely drain. And that way, when I get to going, say early in the morning, if I have some plants that's questionable that I want to water down to keep any freeze from affecting them as bad, I'll have a empty hose and my valve will be ready to go. All I have to do is hook this hose up and then run the water on whichever plants that needs that extra water. But the main thing is, when it's fixing to freeze, make sure these are disconnected. A lot of times we'll roll our hoses up and we'll take them in, and a lot of times we don't even bring certain ones back out because we don't need them that much during the winter. But your timers, things like that, they'll need to be taken loose too. Also, any of your valves that you take off, now this one I'm not sure if it's been opened. They've got little ball openings, so a lot of times if they haven't been opened, they'll hold water inside. This little valve here, let's see if we open it up, see the water drip out of it. that water, if this is to be left outside, if I didn't pick this up, and normally I just bring them in, that and my timers, because I don't want to, any chance of them freezing. But if you do leave these out, make sure the valves are open. That way there's no water in that ball to split that valve and destroy it. Okay, it's looking like there's no things in this garden. I didn't get a couple of rows of strawberries planted. Thank God days aren't no longer, because it kind of tires you out when you're trying to rush up to do things. But got most everything covered up. We've got our cabbage and our broccoli covered up. We've got all our faucets shut off and the stuff disconnected from. The only problem is, this is going to be one problem here. The blueberries, the early varieties are blooming away, and so I'm sure we won't have any blueberries from them this year, but we'll see. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. I hope you found a little bit of useful information in there. And one other thing I wanted to mention, if you do have a high tunnel or something, now and you have roll-up walls like mine, what I do is just put wiggle wire in the sides here. It does have a baffle, but you still get wind that comes in around. This will keep it just a little bit warmer without that being able to move. But anyway, if you want to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe, hit the bell button so you'll be notified. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It really helps my channel. Happy gardening.